Hi everyone, welcome to Module 2. For Module 2, you're going to be reading Chapters 3 and 4. You have Discussion Board number 2, and you have the MyEcon lab work as well. For Discussion Board number 2, let's review what you're going to be focusing on this week. Initial post by Thursday, you'll earn 20 points for that. Initial post should contain APA formatting, which is an in-text citation and reference, and two peer responses, which can be to any of the posts that I post in terms of a reply, or any of your peers as well. Here are some things that you could review for your discussions to ensure that you're doing well, and that's a good checklist for you. Here's the question for this week as well. And you see you have a couple different questions, so make sure to use subheadings. I think that'll make it a lot easier to really understand what we're focused on. Subheadings are very important, and I think that's a good way to really break what we're looking at as well. So for this week, we're going to look at supply and demand. When we look at supply and demand, let me get to the graph here and make it a little bit easier. Demand deals with buyers, whereas supply deals with sellers. When we look at demand, we're going to be looking at the demand curve. And the first thing we're going to be focusing on is the law of demand. The law of demand is an inverse or indirect relationship between the price of a product and the quantity demanded. What does that mean? That means when the price of a product increases, consumers are willing to buy less. And when the price of a product decreases, consumers are willing to buy more. You have what we call the individual and market demand. Market demand is adding up all of the individual demand. Now when we look at the supply is dealing with firms. And let's go to the graph right here. When you look at the supply curve, you notice it's an upward sloping curve between the price of a product and quantity supplied. You'll notice that firms are more willing to supply prices at, or more willing to supply at higher prices rather than lower prices. Now, when we put both supply and demand together, you have what's called equilibrium right here. Equilibrium is where both supply and demand come together to bring about the market price. The market price in this example is $8. However, if you get a question that says the market's at $12, you'll notice that at $12, you'll notice that there's 50 units on the shelf, and there's only 18 people that want it, because that's where it hits the demand curve. That right there is called a surplus. When it's a surplus, you'll notice that prices will tend to decrease to get rid of the surplus. Now, if prices decrease to $6, you'll notice that with regard to demand, 36 people want it, 20 units are on the shelf. And when we look at that, you'll notice that, okay, a lot of people want it, not enough on the shelf. Prices will tend to increase in that regard. You'll notice that prices are flexible, and that's very important that prices are flexible because that creates a lot of opportunities when they're flexible. Now, we want to focus on why the demand curve will shift, the factors that cause the demand curve to shift. Here are the factors that you would cause the demand curve to shift. This is a very helpful slide for you, and you want to make sure to focus on this slide because it's going to contain a lot of information that will really help you understand the market. Now, when we look at supply here. Now we look at supply. These are the factors that will cause the supply curve to change. These again are very important factors that you want to evaluate. You want to make sure what factors will cause the demand and supply curve to change. When you look at these factors, let me give you an example here. You'll notice that there is an increase in supply. So we started here as the equilibrium. There's an increase in supply, which causes the supply curve to go to the right. The initial equilibrium was $8. The new equilibrium is $6. You'll notice that the price has decreased. When the price has decreased, that is because more supply is available in the market and quantities demanded increased as well, because we went from 30 to 36. So these are some of the concepts that we'll be focusing on this week. If you need any help or additional resources, please let me know, but I look forward to your efforts.